Okay, I think we're here.
Hello.
Welcome here, everybody. I always pull it up on my phone, make sure like we're actually showing up. Looks
Not
like
fit.
we're here. If you guys can hear us and see us and all the things, let us know in the comments. To make sure I have this showing the right things here. Oh, Lindsay's here.
Hi, Lindsay.
So I'm assuming we're working here then. Yay! So we've got Lindsay, Catherine, Charlene. Hello, ladies.
Hello, hello.
I'm excited for this month. It's much less of a commitment book than last month.
What a contrast to go from Moby Dick to like a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Dia, hi.
Hey, Dia.
And Marcy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad this was one of your options because Moby Dick was just a slog. Oh, it was a slog. Have you finished it?
Oh no, I read like a couple of chapters and was just like, this is not the right time for this book. I still do want to read it, but it just like my schedule is too busy and I was trying to read that and Don Quixote and some other things and I was like, nope, can't do it. We'll try
Were
again later.
you reading that one with Christy or not?
Moby Dick?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Christy, Victoria, and some other people. Amy of Hearthridge was in that group too.
Oh, yeah.
And Kellyanne Mitchell, I think.
Okay.
Hi, Linda.
So, have any of you finished it yet?
Kellyanne did. And Amy got halfway, and I don't know where Christy is, and Victoria didn't get much farther than me. Oh, Charlene didn't finish it yet either.
Honestly, I would just, yeah. I mean, it's good to check that box, but I would just stick with an abridged version, graphic novel version.
I've had some people tell me that they absolutely loved it, and so I'm willing to give it a try because you just never know. But I like stuff that sometimes people don't traditionally like, so who knows?
You like dense classics, right? So
I do. I like a challenge when I'm in the right mental headspace for it, and I wasn't this summer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why ruin it for myself? I'm going to try it when I actually might enjoy it.
Yep, totally. I think too, like there's sometimes where I'm like, man, if I would have read this book in a different season, it would have got a completely different rating from me.
Yes, absolutely.
Either positive or negative. Like,
yeah. That's what happened when I read Tress of the Emerald Sea earlier this year. It was the perfect time. And I was like, this was like 5 stars because it was the light, happy thing I needed, but might not have been what I needed in a different season when I wanted something a little more immersive, I guess. Oh. Audio's a good option.
Yeah, I definitely like there was like 200 pages in the middle of the book that I definitely skimmed through pretty good that you can't quite do when you're on audio, but Dia loves Moby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in good company. Lots of people didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah, I'm just glad to be like done that chapter of my life.
Did it make you slumpy?
Well, there was a point where I was like, okay, I can't read any other books until this book is done because I'm hosting a book club on it. Like I have to get it done.
Yeah.
So then it just took me a long time to get through it. So I didn't read as many books in those like 2 weeks that I normally would have. But anyway, we're on to a much shorter book this time, The Faithful Spy. Actually, like, I don't know, there's a decent amount of words.
There is. It's not as fast as a regular graphic novel for sure.
No, it's, I don't know, like how would you describe it, define it?
I would actually say that this is a mix between like graphic novel, infographic, and regular text is how I would describe it. I'd say it's like a mix of those 3.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just not like a quick roll off the tongue, like it's a graphic novel kind of thing. It's kind of in its own Mixed media. I like that idea.
Yeah, I think you're right, Lindsay. Because like this page right here,
Mhm.
this looks like a traditional graphic novel.
Yeah.
But most of the pages don't look like that. They have a lot more text. So
Yeah.
I would not just call it a graphic novel, I don't think. Even though the cover definitely gives that vibe.
Okay, this is going to bother me. Is this backwards for you?
No, it's not. It's forwards for me, and so is mine. I just realized you can see my cat back there.
This is backwards for me, but it's
No,
not for
it's
you.
not for me. No.
Okay, because it's going to bother me if I go through this whole video and it's backwards for everybody. Is it? If it's backwards for everyone else, let me know because I can change it. Okay, let's see here. Oh,
Anna Karenina was fine for me. I really enjoyed that one. But those are totally different writing styles, totally different subjects.
well, and
Russian names are tough.
I want to read that one eventually. I've started it multiple times, but
I love it. Oh, I've heard such good things about Eric Metaxas Bonhoeffer. It's actually referenced in this.
Yeah.
In the bibliography.
This was going to be one of my questions, is if people have read it, because I have started his Bonhoeffer years ago, and it is so in depth. Like I got probably 100 pages, and he's like, I don't know, still like in his early teens. Like it's just there's so much going on.
He lived a long life. It feels that way when you read it like that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad my book is forward for everyone. Good, I won't be annoyed now. Okay, see I feel like this one, from the 100-ish pages I read of the Bonhoeffer, like the Metaxas one, they started out very much the same, covering the same information.
Right.
But this was much more engaging, so. First graphic novel type book. This is a good introduction because it's not, you don't have to follow all of the like speech bubbles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, the color scheme was so cool.
Yes, the art was amazing, like so engaging in this.
We'll have to take some time yet to like point out some favorite pictures, but I kept like showing everyone in my family, like, look at this picture, look at this picture, look at this one.
Yes.
So I've done that one, the Christian Heroes Bonhoeffer.
Have you read that one? No? I have not. No, I've only read I've read some of his letters and papers from prison and the introduction that went alongside of that, which gave me some of the context. And I've read some of The Cost of Discipleship, and that's pretty much the only thing I've read about Bonhoeffer. It's his own stuff.
Yeah. I haven't read any of his stuff, which...
The Cost of Discipleship is so good. Letters and Papers from Prison, I read an extended version of it, and they should not have expanded it because it had letters like, hey, could you please send me some tobacco and also that pair of shoes that is in my closet? And I'm like, you didn't need to expand it to put this stuff in it. Like, it was so long.
You want to know everything that was going on.
It's like every letter. It's like 500 pages long, and I got like 50, 75 pages in, and I'm like, I think I'm done.
Yeah, I do want to read his Cost of Discipleship. I think Jared has it.
It's good.
But
it's deep.
Oh, I believe it. I think Dia just loves the big books.
She does. That's why we're besties.
Yeah, makes sense. Great one for discussion. Well, I can see that. 3D glasses. Oh, yeah.
That's so true because there's so much red and like, I mean, look at that. That's so, I didn't even realize that, but you're so right.
Me neither.
Cool.
Have you read any of his other books? Like John Hendricks?
I have not. No, this is the first one.
He has a picture book called The Miracle Man. That's like the story of Jesus and the miracles that he performed.
Oh.
I get it from the library on a regular basis just to read for myself because his illustrations, it's full color, but it's gorgeous and I love it. So I recommend that. That's, I think, the only thing of his that I've read.
Cool. It looks like he wrote one about like a Civil War hero too.
A few different, kind of books.
I'm wondering if it's like this one, like laid out this way.
Oh, hopefully. I think this would be like, as a homeschooler, I want more books like this, because this is
Yes.
so engaging for learning nonfiction information.
Mm-hmm.
The Happiest Man on Earth. Night. I've never heard of that one.
Night is so good, but so sad. You might have read that one.
Who's
Right? Eli or Ellie Weasel. I don't know how you pronounce his name.
No, I haven't.
But I haven't heard of The Happiest Man on Earth.
I'm
But
just
Night it's short, but it's so impactful.
just searching on Goodreads right now. Oh,
The best part about lives.
Yeah.
Adding to the Goodreads TBR.
okay. Well, this one, The Happiest Man on Earth, has a 4.63 rating.
Wow.
And also that cover is pretty cool.
Oh, it is.
So that's going on my want to read. Night. I've never read anything by her, actually.
Actually, it's a guy.
Oh.
That's why I'm not sure if you pronounce it Ellie. It looks like Ellie, but I don't know if it's pronounced Eli or not. Because I think it's short for like Eleazar or something.
Oh. Okay.
So.
Okay, well, I'll add that to my want to read as well. And The Hiding Place is amazing.
For sure. I love that one.
I keep seeing that the one like with all the mixed media, with all the I want that one for sure.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, The Cost of Discipleship. I need to see if we actually own a copy of that one. So is this mean The Cost of Discipleship? How long is it?
I don't think it's that long. Not as long as the other one she's mentioning. I want to say it's like 300 pages or something like that.
It'd be a cool follow-up book for sure.
It would. It's life-changing.
Life Together. Oh, interesting.
That one, it sounds so good. I think it's about like how the church should operate. Because it's referenced in this book.
Back to Goodreads.
I would also love to read one of the other ones that's listed in here for the selected bibliography. There's one that what is it called? Love Letters from Cell 92, and it's all the letters between Bonhoeffer and his fiance. I would read that one in a heartbeat.
That would be cool.
But yeah, they have the selected bibliography in the back, and it lists a lot of the books that people have been talking about so far.
Yeah.
In addition to, Hitler's book and a few others.
What
a contrast.
That is one, like, in some ways I'm very curious to read, because
I'm going to read it at some point. It's actually assigned reading for Claire in our homeschool curriculum. We're currently reading once she's in high school.
Wow.
So, which I can see why you would think that's an important read.
Yeah.
To understand, to see the background of what he was thinking and where he was coming from. So I can't believe how he was able to get away with the things he got away with and kind of masterminded it. I didn't know how much he kind of played the long game for some of these things.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
That, I don't have any specific questions. I'm just going off.
I don't either.
Going through here, but that's definitely one of my favorite things about this book is just seeing everything that took place before World War II, like, officially started.
Yeah.
And how outrageous it was that he became so high up. Like, my cat is just meowing here.
I can hear him. He's like, yes, I agree. Let me tell you what I thought about this book.
I'm gonna let him in, and then he's gonna want to go out. Come here. There.
Hi. He's so cute. I love his markings on his face.
His little, not so innocent little look.
Hi. He's so cute.
Yeah. So the pre-World War II, just all the things that were going on, like even how Bonhoeffer was nervous and seeing all these things before most people even did.
Yeah.
That was really eye-opening, that like so much of the country was just, into Hitler. First of all, they thought that he was kind of crazy, and then all of a sudden everyone was like, he's amazing, he's gonna be our savior.
It was like this self-preservation after everything they'd experienced, like seeing the fluctuation between it's like one of the beginning pages where it talks about like the inflation that happened and like how far. So in 1921, 75 marks was worth $1, and not even a year later, 4 billion marks equaled $1.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like,
That
no
is
wonder
crazy.
they were so desperate for anyone that could try to pull them out of this hole into some sort of success and prosperity, you know?
Also, that page is one of my favorite pages. It's just, there's so much information on it, but it is so eye-catching.
Yes.
Okay, where was I?
Sorry.
Charlene wants it for homeschooling too. Yes. Right? Totally.
I think I'm going to assign it because we're going to do World War II next year, and I think I'm going to assign this for Claire.
Yeah. I was just saying at the supper table that, like, oh, Ephraim, you're going to read this in a few years. You're going to love it. And Reka's like, oh, I'm not? I'm like, oh, no, you have to read it. Like, you have to read it, like, right away. You're not going to wait a few years. For sure. This book was my daughter's first book on World War II and Hitler. Oh, yeah, that would be shocking.
There were things in it that shocked me, and I knew things about World War II and Hitler and the Holocaust. And there are things like, there's one point where they're talking about one of their marching songs, and it was like, the title was something like "When the Jewish Blood Spurts Out Because of My Knife" or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, they were singing this in the street and people are cheering?
Yeah.
Like...
I think
here it is. When Jewish blood spurts from my knife. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you know, a few years prior, some of those people probably would have been appalled by the lyrics, but then just the like slow shift, things just, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, and then all of a sudden you're singing a song like that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that one either. Dia always knows tons of books I've never heard of, though.
I know. She reads so much. I love picking her brain on books. She has good recommendations.
I'm just going to start like writing them down on my paper so I'm not constantly looking things up on Goodreads. Also, yeah, The Diary of Anne Frank. That's a good one. I had assigned that one for Reka this year, and she's like, I've already read this one. I'm like, well, read it again.
She really?
Yeah. Address Unknown, that's one that I've seen. I know the cover, but I've never read.
I haven't even heard of that one. I'm not familiar with the title anyway.
Oh, here, you might like this one. Dear Diedrich. It's about his fiance.
I haven't heard of that one.
Can't decide if he's in or out. And I don't want other random children wandering in here, so.
Other random. I like you said other. Tolkien's one of the random children.
He totally is. He's one of the easiest, too. Okay. A child's perspective into young adult and how her heart changes. Interesting.
So it kind of sounds a little bit like, obviously not the same, but kind of like Anne Frank, like, with, you know, growing up through all these kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
I own that, but I haven't read it.
It's one I keep hearing about lately. I know a bit about it, but... Because isn't it a movie, too?
Yeah, they're watching the movie in the theater when he's in New York City.
Yeah.
Well, not New York City. Just America. I don't know if that part was New York City or not. I can't remember. Yeah, it was New York City as well.
Sam read this a couple of years ago and told me I needed to read it. Oh, it's always good when your kids are telling you that you need to read books.
I love it when kids do that. I listen.
Yeah. Fear of going against the flow. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, because it's crazy, like the pastors that are compromising and stuff, but it's like, I think that there was also a fear, which obviously he couldn't address everything in this book, but I think that there was a fear like, well, isn't it better to do this than to have all the churches in Germany totally shut down?
Yes.
But then it's like, but is it actually better?
Yeah, I remember that.
You know?
Yeah. I think because it's easy to be like, well, I wouldn't.
Of course.
This, right? the thing that catches me is like if my family is threatened, you know, like if I'm blackmailed in some way because of like I don't know what I would do, like how far I would go in order to protect those in my family. I would still like to think that I, you know, would not do things that I don't believe in, but it would be hard to see people that you love like suffering or
Yeah, well, that kind of reminds me of The Hiding Place too, where it's like, I think it was Corey's sister was like, I can't lie. I cannot in good conscience lie. And the other family members were okay with like trying to lie to protect the Jews or their family. She's like, I can't lie. And so they like, she just prayed and like they didn't ask her certain questions or like certain answers like they didn't remember or like, you know, different things like that. And the Lord made it so she didn't have to lie. But, you know, so because it's like in here, like, where's like Dietrich struggles with this a lot. Like, where's the line of like, okay, you're killing someone, but look at all the people he's killing.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have to lie to carry out the charade of being a spy?
Mm-hmm.
So is it okay to lie if you're doing it for greater good? And it's like, it's almost like that. Is it okay to steal to feed your family?
Yeah.
Kind of an ethical question.
And is it okay to kill someone to save other people? Like, yeah, I know. And I'm glad he struggled with it because, and that they worked through it a little bit in the book, but still, if I was in that situation, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't know either. I mean, it's like you said, it's so easy to say, this is what I would do because you're not faced with that decision.
Yeah.
But I like how he had the analogy of like, if there's a madman gunning down people in his car in the marketplace, I'm going to shoot the madman and save people. And this is the same, you know, but it seems like this impossible decision, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Where was I here? Okay. That is, I'm assuming, I'll write that down. Maria. So she says, Hansi is recruited as a child into a Nazi school, but she was growing up Christian until, that'd be fascinating. Okay, I gotta look that one up. When I was in Germany, I went to a women conference.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool to be able to hear that in person.
Yeah, that's really neat. Oh yeah,
I haven't read that one yet, but I own it. Dia, send it to me one year for my birthday.
That's another one. Like we read the YWAM version, the Brother Andrew version, and then I went on to read God's Smuggler, and they're like very similar. Like they did a good job with the YWAM version. It's just told more in a story way, so it was an easier read.
Okay.
But God's Smuggler is written by Brother Andrew, right? So it's more personal, but yeah. Oh, everyone's on the same idea here. Okay.
You guys must have entered this at the exact same time. God would blind them from seeing the Bibles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he has some like really cool stories of being able to smuggle these Bibles in, right?
Yeah. All this talk's reminding me too of like Richard Wurmbrand, Tortured for Christ. The same kind of like decisions of like the churches that were buckling and preaching the things that the government, the communist government, was telling them to say. I think it was in Romania, I want to say.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But it reminds me of these like decisions of they're saying like, well, wouldn't it be better if we said what the government wanted us to say, so at least we can keep our church open, because they're closing down churches of everyone who doesn't agree. And it's just like, but if that's all you're allowed to say, is it really church?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Elementary.
The Letter Writers.
Oh.
I haven't heard of that one.
So this is not so much a book club as a growing of my TBR discussion. This is what I'm noticing. If
anyone follows me on Goodreads, sorry for all the notifications right now. Because because that's what's happening over here.
Well, this is an elementary book. It should be short at least. So there's that one. Never heard of that one.
No, me either.
Okay, so do you have some highlights from the book, or like pages that you really liked, or anything that really jumped out at you?
Hang on. I didn't mark things, and I should have.
Oh, it's all good. You were cruising through it. Here, this is one of the pages I really like. I love the Goliath type one.
Yes, I love that one.
I feel like this is such a good book for boys who generally need more visuals and love nonfiction. I mean, I loved it, not as a boy, but
yes.
I also showed Ephraim this picture.
That was one of my favorite ones because I think that is just like, and then you have more as you keep going. There's more wolf mouths and werewolf. I didn't know that he referred to himself like as like the wolf and stuff. Like I hadn't heard that one before.
And I love how he took that and like continued it through the illustrations because it's such a good visual.
Yeah, especially because I feel like at the beginning he was very much like a wolf in sheep's clothing, trying to act like he was going to help Germany make things better, when all along he had this ulterior motive of genocide and power and all these kinds of things, where it wasn't really just about like helping the German people. I was really amazed reading this about like how many people historians believe. They talked about the communists, the attack of like burning up that building, and the Nazis are like, the communists did this. But historians, they don't have proof, but they believe that the Nazis probably also staged the fire. But how they were able to get so many people to vote for them by fear mongering, by saying, do you want these madmen running this country? And it's like, I can see that in the States right now. Both sides fear mongering, saying, is that what you want? You need to vote for us so that doesn't happen. And I'm like, this is how these kinds of things happen, is that people allow fear to be their primary decision making.
That's kind of scary.
It is. Not that we're at Germany level currently, but I mean, Germany didn't invade there either, so
yeah.
I also love this whole page with the Olympic page.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, how marvelously ironic that Jesse Owens is like, as a black man, is like, I'm winning all these medals in Berlin. I can't even imagine how mad that must have made Hitler. I was like,
oh man, he's not a German and he's black. Oh.
Yes, when I'm trying to talk about the supremacy of pure-blooded Germans, and he's proving me wrong.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
And like, I know this is something that's been touched on before, but like Hitler's whole, blonde hair, blue eye, like, did no one in the moment go, hey, what about you and your non-blonde hair? And like, and he wasn't born in Germany, right? He was born in Austria.
Yeah. But I think Austria was part of Germany at certain points, so I don't know if that's why.
Yeah. I don't know. But I just feel like he had this ideal race, but he didn't even check his own box. And okay. First of all, I'm going to go back here before I forget. I saw Anna Marie had, here, The Borrowed House. She said,
I've not heard of that one.
It's about the perspective of people seeing changes happening where they live during this time, like people missing from their homes.
Ooh.
Okay. for me, the most important takeaway is the quote that starts with, they came for the socialists.
Yes. But I didn't say anything because I wasn't a socialist. And then they came for the communists and I didn't say anything. And then they came for the Jews and I didn't say anything. So there was no one left when they came for me. Yeah, that was really a very hard-hitting quote. And I love the way that he marked all the direct quotes with asterisks,
Yes.
so you knew exactly what was truly a quote and what was maybe a bit more speculative or paraphrased.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. I thought they had that quote tabbed here, but now I can't find it.
It's big on a page wherever it is. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, well, I can go back later, but yeah, I really like that. And yes, it was really smart for him to like point out which ones were true quotes, because then you know what you can say is actually a quote.
Yes, absolutely. I loved how he became a pastor to the prisoners, to the guards, to everyone in this prison. I was like, that is being Jesus, even when you don't feel it yourself, you know? Yeah. I love that. Yes. Yeah.
You weren't the only one picking up on that.
And the author's note, even at the end, he talks about, he says, despite the lessons learned from the horrors of World War II, recent history has shown humanity has not been permanently vaccinated against tyrants. We never will be. I'm like, that's true. Because there are always going to be people who come up trying to have power and manipulating people around them. And they're usually very charismatic, persuasive people. So people like them.
Yeah.
And people had no idea half of the things Hitler stood for or that he was even doing. Like even the people who were running concentration camps had no idea the scope of what was happening at all these different concentration camps all over the place. Or even the fact, like, I thought, because one of the things that Hitler is known for saying about the Jewish people is that they were Christ killers. And so I assumed that Hitler had convinced himself that he was a Christian.
Yeah.
And it actually says,
like, pretending to be for the church, right?
Yeah, and saying, like, I am God's chosen savior and all this stuff. But then it actually says in here that when he was, alone with his higher ranking people, he would mock Christianity because he hated the love and sacrificing and forgiveness elements of Christianity. And I didn't know that. I was like, I thought maybe he just deceived himself into thinking. Because if you lie to yourself enough, sometimes you can make yourself really believe something. But he knew dang well that he didn't believe important tenets of the Christian faith. Yeah. So it was all manipulation.
On page 52, his response to what the church should do. Thanks for putting page number in. What was 52?
The church and the Jewish question. Yeah. And continually ask the state whether its action can be justified.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes. There's a lot in here that was very useful in times when people feel strongly and don't even want to listen to other people, or, it's so personal and near and dear to them to be able to think clearly instead of emotionally about things. Easier said than done for someone who's emotional, aka myself.
Just also on that page, I love the visual of his quote, "If you board the wrong train, it's no use running along the corridor in the opposite direction." I feel like that was a visual of his quote there. Lindsay says, "This is why it's so important to know history so we can try and stand up and prevent it from happening again."
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those nothing new under the sun kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me want to cheer that much harder.
Yeah.
Stick it to him. Yes. He's such a cool guy.
I found myself wondering later in the book, what would have happened in Germany if any of the assassination attempts had actually been successful? Yes. Like, and why weren't they? like that was what I was asking as I was going through. Like they had numerous attempts and they weren't successful. So
Yeah.
obviously that wasn't God's plan for Hitler.
Yeah.
But it's hard because he's killing so many people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about this. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I think I saw that like a really long time ago. I think it's older, right? Was Tom Cruise in it? Or am I making that up?
Yeah,
I never know. I almost never watch movies. But I think that I watched that one a really long time ago.
I wouldn't know.
And there were not Christian elements in it if it's the one I'm thinking of.
That's too bad when they do that with movies in general. Because there's so many that have like major Christian themes and all of a sudden they just tell a story without that being a part of it at all.
Yeah.
Oh, hi Amy.
I was talking about you earlier about Moby Dick.
We're always talking about Amy in a good way.
Yes, I love Amy.
I'm not sure it has Tom Cruise in it. I wouldn't even know.
I just looked it up on my phone and it does. It came out in 2008, which is why I've seen it. It's because it was a long time ago when I actually sometimes watched movies. I don't anymore.
Now you just read long Russian classics.
I do. I can sit and do that, but sitting and watching a movie, no, I can't. Like, I'm like, I could be doing something else. Imagine the books I could be reading.
I have to do something else while I'm watching something. I can't just sit and watch a movie. I can sit and read a book for hours, but I cannot just sit and watch a movie.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies,
I have not seen that one. I did see Valkyrie many years ago, but I have not seen that one. I bet it's excellent. Oh, I'm glad we're not alone. I always feel like a weirdo, and then I remember Chantel's the same way, and I feel better.
Yeah, like I'll often get comments, people like, "Oh, this book, yeah, it's also a movie. The movie's great." I'm like, "Yeah, cool. I'm never gonna watch it. Like, I'm just not. I'll read the book."
And when I do watch movies based on books, I find myself hardcore nitpicking. I'm like, the book is always better. Why would I watch the movie?
Yeah. Catherine's among friends here, that's for sure.
Yes, definitely. I found another wolf picture.
Oh yeah. That's a good one too.
And I love there's certain themes that he carried well throughout the whole book. Obviously the color scheme, but like the wolf thing.
Yeah.
Throughout, like all through. And I loved that.
Speaking of the assassination attempts though, like I don't know how realistic. Oh yeah, that's a good one. How realistic these pants are to the ones that he was wearing. But it's like, how did he not die?
Or even be seriously injured when he has like shredded pants.
And multiple other people die, but not Hitler. Anyway, yeah.
It's crazy.
I really like the wolf carried through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering, just because there's no asterisks for this at the end with his, like, at least I think there's not. Oh, no, there is. The quote at the beginning, this is the end for me, the beginning of life, has an asterisk by it, but this whole dream sequence.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, did he write a letter to someone? If this was the day before he died, how did they get the letter? Or is this part speculative entirely? I'm just curious about that because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. No, I was wondering the same thing. So like this is a quote from him, but like at what point did he write those two lines, right?
Yeah.
Like this could be from a letter like 3 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be nice if he would have put exactly where each of the quotes was from.
I wonder, he might have. Because there are notes at the end.
There are.
It just says it's from his friend's biography on Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the Oh, what's his name? I probably can't even pronounce it. Eberhard Bethke.
Oh yeah.
When I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
No, you're doing great. I have no idea. Just sound confident.
Yeah, that's what it's from. So maybe he wrote a letter
Yeah.
to his friend right before he died about this dream sequence, but I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does say in the author's note that some of it was a bit speculative.
Yeah.
And so I was finding myself wondering if that was. I don't know if anyone knows that, anyone who's read Metaxas's biography. I feel like if it's in there, then it probably really happens.
Okay, let's see here.
Because that's thorough.
Okay, we have got lots of non-movie watchers here. Yeah. Yeah, that's
I can't even sit during this without doing something.
Yeah. Yes,
They
Amy,
are.
I think you would like the book and you'd like it for your homeschool for sure. Yes, they were so good. Yeah, that is an interesting idea. Why?
I wonder what the technology was like at the
Yeah.
time for detonator versus a timer.
Because he's
Like what, if
standing
that
there
was
for
as
2 minutes.
accessible. I don't know.
True enough, yeah. Oh,
Was one.
okay.
The wife of Richard Wurmbrand.
I'm gonna write that one down.
I haven't read that one. Or is that the movie? Because they did just make a movie about Tortured for Christ.
Oh.
I think. Or they are making one. I don't know. Which I think is great because there's a lot of people who won't read the book.
Yes.
So they'll still be able to hear the story.
That's true. I'm actually surprised that you didn't read the Metaxas one, Amy. I mean, I haven't either, but
I don't have it, so
it's dead.
Maybe someday. I have one by him that I picked up that it was like 7 something. I think it's called 7 or something, 7 Men or something. Yeah. And I got that for free at like a church gathering thing, and I was like, cool. I've heard good things about his Bonhoeffer biography. It's much shorter. It's like this thick. It's really thin.
It really is, honestly.
I haven't hit 200 yet, but I think 180 was like, it was in the 180 range for 2020, and that was my highest. So maybe someday. But still, yeah. Dia reads like hundreds of books every year. She's over 300 at this point, I'm pretty sure. That's how she gets
she's reading like Metaxas and Moby Dick and enjoying them, so
yeah.
Maybe we just need to read more, and then we'll be like Dia and enjoy them.
$180 is close enough. Thank you, Amy. I was very proud that year.
Well, I mean, like if you take a look at it, at the number outside of like, you know, after you've been in booktube for a while, you start, I don't know, your perspective changes. But if you take a look at this number as like a normal person,
yes,
180 is insane.
It is. You're right. BookTube really skews it because I tend to be like, I thought I read a lot, and people be like, oh my gosh, you read so much, because I always read over 100 books every year. And then I look at people who are like, I read 15 books this month. I read 25 books this month. And I'm like, I read 7.
But it depends. Like a Russian classic is going to like take a lot more time than a manga, or even like a contemporary book that maybe has a lot of pages, but you can fly through.
Right. And I always read at least 1 classic a month, but usually 2 or 3.
Yeah, and they take more effort. And a lot of people like
19.
They maybe read like a book a month, and they feel like they've, like the normal world people, we feel like they've done a good job reading 1 book a month. And then here we are at 180, 219. Like we are the crazy people.
Yeah, but I also don't ever binge a TV show.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my gosh, I binged this TV show. I watched the whole thing in a weekend.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that really any different than reading a book in a weekend? Just spending it on different things, which is fine. If people would rather watch TV shows, that's fine. Do what you love.
Okay, so
that was a movie. The one you just wrote down was a movie. But Tortured for Christ is the actual book.
Oh. Okay.
So
I'm making notes to myself.
Sabina was his wife.
Book.
So it's good. It's short too. I want to say it's like around 100 pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, that's what I've heard from people who told me they like it. They like the writing style. So I think I could see myself being interested in the stuff about whales. So, because I like animals, so maybe I would like that. I don't know though.
I feel like the writing style reminded me a lot of Robinson Crusoe. Like maybe the whole like.
I didn't love the writing style in Robinson Crusoe. I read that to Claire last year.
Killing of the animals and like surviving. It had that kind of vibe to it to me. Like, I don't know. But it's a long time since I read Robinson Crusoe.
I just read it last year and it was, I'm someone who doesn't mind wordy classics. I love Dickens. And yet I was like, why do you need 30 words for like what you could have said in 2? What's up? What's up, Defoe?
Yeah. Yeah.
But his writing style just wasn't my favorite. I think that's what it was. But that's okay. Claire loved it.
Oh, good for her.
One of her favorites last year in school.
She sounds like you're raising a proper nerd.
That's true. I am. And I take pride in that.
Yeah, that is true.
They're usually worth it, though. There are exceptions. Usually you get something out of it, though.
This is
wow.
Usually my problem is like usually I try to set a goal and somehow I go beyond it. Even though every year
I usually go for 100 on Goodreads, so I don't feel pressured. But I'm like, I think I've read 70 or something like that. So 140 is great.
Marcy's killing us all.
350. Oh my word. That's amazing. Marcy, do you listen to them on like 2 times speed or something? Because I know some people that do, and it's like, well, no wonder you get through so many books if you listen to it at 2 times speed. But I want to be able to actually like enjoy the narration. I feel like if it's too fast, I can't. So
if you're hitting a book a day, then
yeah, I can't. Yeah. I'm not an audio learner, so I can't just listen to a bunch of audiobooks. I only can listen to them when like I'm doing a brainless task like laundry.
So I'm not the only one that thought it reminded them of Robinson Crusoe.
Okay.
So
interesting. So I'm really excited to get to Moby Dick now and compare what I think of those two, having recently read Robinson Crusoe.
Okay. Yeah, because I haven't read Robinson Crusoe's for like probably 5 years. So that's just my memory of it. But
yeah, you would win.
So you're just like silently trying not to.
I don't want to make you guys feel bad. I read 11, so that way it doesn't seem so bad. That's what I'm wondering, if it's going to feel like Les Mis. And I'm like, if I can survive Les Mis and War and Peace, surely I can survive Moby Dick. I don't think it's not as long. It's like half the length of those ones.
I haven't read either of those ones yet.
I read but like I liked Les Mis way more than War and Peace. War and Peace was like, maybe I'll reread it. I don't know, but I will for sure reread Les Mis because I was very attached to the characters.
Good.
So a lot of tangents.
It seems to be a classic thing.
Not to the if you read Les Mis, you'll be like, oh, I take back what I thought about tangents. Seriously, I kid you not. You'll be like, never mind.
I want to read it eventually, but I can never find the translation that I want.
Oh, okay. 100 is a lot, Amy.
Yeah.
For real. 100 is a lot. You can do it. I'm cheering you on. You're so educational.
Except that the education is incorrect, right? Like,
is it?
The information about the whales is not actually accurate. So
That's interesting. I didn't know that. This is the first I'm hearing of that.
Well, that was the consensus on the book club last month. Is
Interesting.
that the science is incorrect. So you're reading chapters and chapters of science about whales. That's not actually right. So,
Wow.
oh, here we go. 2.5 speed.
2.5? I've never heard anyone crank it up that high. 2 is the highest I've heard. I wonder how fast you speak in real life.
Yes, Amy.
Gilmore Girls times 5 in real life.
Oh, well, Gilmore Girls is insane. That is a really good book. Yes, I did recommend it. Has Claire read that one, Tiffany, or have you?
She has not. No, I haven't either.
I think
not yet. It is actually on my TBR because of you.
Okay. It's so good. And the audio is really good. War and Peace.
War and Peace is a struggle.
Eventually I'll get to, I'm like working my way up. The classic ladder, like War and Peace and Les Mis, they're still up there higher yet.
Anna Karenina is easier than War and Peace for sure.
Right, well, starting them is, you're getting somewhere. We're having issues here.
You got more than you had if you hadn't read it at all, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, just read an abridged version. It's okay. It just leaves out all the tangents.
My camera's having some issues here.
All of a sudden, too. It was fine this whole time.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll come back.
At least we got through looking at the pages of the books. So if you're blurry now, it's okay.
Actually, I wonder if like holding up the book maybe will, I don't know. I don't know how you make a webcam focus.
I don't either.
Yeah, good. I'm glad people read books that I recommend. Yes, and I was assuming that the science was accurate to the time, but we've now
know different things now. Yeah. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to do some research while I'm reading that. See, your hand is in focus.
I know.
When you put it up to it.
If
yep, you're in focus. Hello.
I'm hoping it would follow me, but
it did.
There you go. Okay.
You're so smart. What a good idea.
3? Yeah. I only have ever done 3 if like, okay, so no one come at me now. No one come at me. But A Gentleman in Moscow. I really wanted to finish the book. And I was like, okay, we're going to 3. We're getting this thing done. So I know everyone loves
I actually loved that book, but I understand why people do not. I really do.
I feel like I'm alone. But
you're not alone.
Yeah, I don't think
I did a couple of years ago when there was a group on BookTube doing it because it helped. I wouldn't have finished it as easily.
Didn't Krista do one last year for Les Mis too, or someone? I don't know.
It was the year before. She did. Christy, Victoria, and Naomi were doing it, and Krista joined in with some of their lives, and that is when I read it.
I feel like a book that big, I can't. Well, at least as a leader, I can't be like, oh, I'm going to read this book because I think I wouldn't do it. Okay, so Amy's using audio for the insignificant events in the life of a cactus. Definitely very different than what we're talking about right now, but that one's a really good one.
Really?
Oh, interesting.
I didn't dislike most of Hugo's tangents, even though most people do, because I felt like they gave good social and economic context to the revolution and the uprisings that were happening. But I didn't know as much about it, and I'm a nerd with history stuff, so.
I'd say yes, you are.
I am. Anytime. We have to help ourselves out here.
Oh, I'm in good company. Thank you.
I'm telling you, I've heard lots of people say they hate it.
I like,
because they think it's boring.
One of my in-person friends, I started it recently, and I'm like, I know you're gonna love it. I'm sorry, I hated it, and of course she gave it 5 stars.
Like, I did too, but you know,
and I can see that. Like, I can see why you would like it.
I thought it had very good, like, quotable nuggets of wisdom and stuff in there, and that was a huge reason why I liked it so much. But there's a huge scene on coffee where he writes about grinding coffee and drinking coffee in the morning, but you don't drink coffee. So that wouldn't have affected you the way it deeply resonated with you.
Yeah, I'm never going to reread that one, that's for sure.
That's okay. That's why there's different books for different people.
Yeah.
Whales are fit.
There we go.
True.
I don't know.
I love the ludicrously inaccurate. I mean, it is true, but I just think that's funny.
As long as you can say what happened, yeah. Okay, let's vote. Do you think Amy will like it or not?
I could really see her liking it just because of the language and the way that it's written. But I don't know. It really could go either way. So
Maybe
it's
she'll
tough to
start
say.
it and not finish it.
Yeah, she might like the beginning. Yes.
This does not surprise me. I
can
see DL.
Dia and I agree about 90 to 95% of the time.
Oh, but this makes me sad. Brant Hansen recommended it. I love his stuff. Now I just feel like I view him as lesser. No, just kidding.
I don't want to ask what you think of me.
I just think you're too smart for me.
I'm not. It's so funny you think that because I listen to certain people on BookTube and I'm like, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. So, certain people talk about books like Codex Cantina. I don't know if you've ever watched their channel before. When they talk about books, I'm like, I don't know anything. I know nothing. So it's so funny that other people can make us feel that way and then they feel dumb.
All right. I feel like we got a little off track, but I don't know. Do you have any other Bonhoeffer? Oh, character.
There's not really hardly any plot at all except a little bit at the very, very end.
Yeah. Like nothing happens.
Pretty, I mean, he's on like house arrest in a hotel for
30 years, right?
Yeah. So it's super character driven, but I like character driven.
Yeah. I agree with that. Okay, well, have you read Everything Sad is Untrue?
I own it. Someone sent it to me last year, but I haven't read it yet. It's about a refugee who comes to the United States, I think, like a kid. I think it's technically YA, but it feels more middle grade, but I think there might be some content in it that's a little bit older.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
It's got a pretty cover. I like the cover. Bye, Marcy.
She's going to walk her dog. Yeah, I feel like I would recognize the cover of this one. Let's just go back to this here. Everything Sad is Untrue.
It's got like a colorful looking tornado on the front. It's really a really pretty cover.
Oh no, this is not the book I was thinking at all. No, I've never even heard of it or seen it, to my knowledge.
Yes, he goes over my head too. I don't think that so much Codex goes over my head. They just think really deeply and they're just smarter than me and they know a lot more than me. Noah goes like esoteric, like, what are you even saying sometimes?
Now you have to read it and report back, Amy.
I would be very curious to hear what you think. I think it's a good fall and winter book. I think, because I feel like it's got cozy vibes because you're stuck in a hotel, so it's cozy. Or maybe it's not, but, makes you feel better if you're stuck in a hotel if you think it's cozy.
Oh, I think this is for Everything Sad is Untrue.
Okay. No, I'm like, That might give me problems. Yeah, I thought it was one of those things that like it looks like a middle grade, but might be more for YA because of some of the content in it. But I don't know a lot about it because I haven't read it yet.
I have to look into that one.
Me too. I don't get to use it that much. There was a book. Oh, I was reading out loud to Claire today, and one of the books I was reading said multitudinous, and I'm like, I need to like use this in my day-to-day life more. I love the word multitudinous.
Nice. No creep.
Cozy. It's not creepy at all.
Nothing
Mm-mm.
happens, Amy. For the
It's
whole
not
book.
creepy. It's not creepy.
No.
You can see my cat back here. Screw
Yeah.
her.
Mine is sleeping on my little ledge over there. Can't see him.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that's why it's non-linear and jumps around. There's like stories within stories, kind of like Arabian Nights. If that's kind of the vibe he was going for.
I never read Arabian Nights.
It's on my TBR for this year. Well, I get to it. We'll see.
I think we're swapping back and forth between two different books here.
Yeah, I don't know which one she thought was mundane. Probably not Everything Sad is Untrue, because that I don't think that's mundane. It's probably Gentleman in Moscow.
Yeah. This is for your vocabulary. You just need a list.
Right. I did it when I was a teenager because I'm a nerd. I would look up a word of like the week and I would try to use it in a sentence as many times as I could. I would just open a dictionary to a random page and find a word I didn't know. And I thought it was fun. That probably doesn't surprise you at all.
But I'm not against that kind of fun. Sounds good. Okay. I feel
You
like
might love it. There's a potential for you to love it. I feel like you might, but then you also might not because so many people just like don't like that pretty much nothing happens.
But if you go into it knowing nothing is going to happen, pretty much, like it might be different. I just kept being like, okay, like, but where are we going with this? Like, what's
Not much. No, not much places are we going because he can't.
so we're stuck inside a hotel for 30 years.
I did like some of the relationships that develop over time of him being stuck there. So that was a huge draw for me.
And I think if I would have been like just realized, okay, this is the relationships, this is the point of the book, maybe I would have liked it more. But I kept being like, okay, maybe in the next chapter something's gonna happen. You know? Like,
yeah. So if that's what you're looking for, then yeah, you're gonna be like, the heck is this book? Why do people like this?
Because so many people raved about it, but they didn't say much. So I was like, okay, like
because there's not much to say.
Yeah.
I will admit, I get why people don't like it. I do. I completely understand. Can I do this for myself? Good job, Tiffany. You used the word multitudinous or esoteric today.
You can do it for yourself. Yes, I give you permission.
Thanks.
This is a great idea. Actually, my son, he's 10, and there are so many times where I'm like, whoa, you used such a great word. Like, so proud of you. But now I like this idea.
Do you play Mad Libs with your kids?
We have, like, in seasons.
Because that is something that's so fun to do with homeschooled kids because they read so widely. So Claire comes up with these words, and I'm like, dang, that was a good word. And I'm so proud when she does that. That's how she knows all her parts of speech, is because we play Mad Lib so much.
Yes.
She knew that at like 5. She knew the parts of speech. And I'm like, oh, your kid's so smart. It's like, no, we play Mad Libs.
Yeah. Hey, it works.
It does. What? I've never heard of that.
I'm actually kind of curious.
That could be great because I do love people watching and finishing people's conversations, imagining what they were actually talking about.
That could make a good book. Yeah.
It really would. Because you could see a lot of stuff. You could see like a marriage crumble before your eyes.
Or you could imagine it.
Your dog.
You could hear half of a sentence and then finish what was going on, and in your head you could have had them split up.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I think that someone that guy's in the mob. I think they just ordered a hit on someone. Yeah.
Okay, we're back to A Gentleman here.
Amy, if you figure out what that book is, please tell me because I want to read this. I don't even care if it's interesting. I just am so fascinated with this idea, and I'm going to be thinking about it for like the rest of the week, probably. Yes. Oh my word.
I don't even know.
Yeah, Dia and I read Labyrinth by Borges, which is a short story collection. Also has like essays and stuff in it. And that man, I was looking up so many words every single page. I'm like, I think I'm stupid.
This one you need to read like on the Kindle so you can have the dictionary there. Just like
I should have done that. I should have tried to see. That is something I like about the Kindle.
well, oh, I was gonna do this one.
I don't know why that's the first thing that popped into my head. I was trying to think of something super dramatic that you could see. An attempted exhausting a place in Paris. So he's in Paris on a bench?
This just got more interesting.
Oh my goodness. Is it a translated work?
Amy says maybe. I'm very curious.
I'm looking it up. Charlene reads so much French stuff. I always love Charlene's French recommendations.
Charlene just reads so much.
She does.
She's got wide range of books that she reads. I can't write these down and talk.
Sounds interesting. One overcast weekend in October 1974, Georges Penrec set out in quest of the infraordinary, the humdrum, the non-event, the everyday, what happens, as he put it, when nothing happens. And he sits behind a cafe window and records everything that he sees.
How long is it?
55 pages, according to Goodreads. So he didn't see much. I think he fell asleep.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Originally when I started reading what Amy had written here about, just wrote down everything he saw. So I read A Room with a View this last week. Have you read that one?
I did. I read it a couple of years ago.
I am so not a fan of her writing.
I have mixed feelings about that book because it's one that, like, after I finished it, I thought about it more in the weeks following and had a more positive opinion than when I first finished it. But I have very mixed feelings on it. There are things I liked about it and things I hated about it.
Yeah.
So
there were some parts where she was talking about, like, I don't know which era it was, like the Victorian era or whatever, if women wanted to be creative, like, and the fact that, you know, you wouldn't have really been able to have expressed your creativity in any way because it just wasn't possible. I totally agree with that and found that interesting. But the way she was writing, like we were going on this journey together to these different places, I was like, just get to the point.
I liked the second half of the book better than the first half of the book because it seemed more like I understood where we're going with this a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah.
The first half of the book, I'm like, why are we here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shorty September.
There you go, 55 pages.
An attempted exhausting a place in Paris. He was exhausted in a place in Paris.
The thing is, you don't really want to exhaust a place in Paris. You just want to always go back and like have no place exhausted, right?
You would think. Not according to this guy.
Yeah.
Georges Perec. I'm probably pronouncing his last name wrong, but I don't know how else you would say it. P-E-R-E-C.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand French. There's so many letters that are superfluous in French words that I don't know how to say them.
No.
Oh my gosh. I haven't tried Virginia Woolf yet. I don't do well with stream of consciousness writing. I struggle really badly with it, and so I'm really scared to try her.
Well, she's the one that wrote A Room with a View.
A Room with a View? I thought that was E.M. Forster. What am I thinking of?
Oh, I meant A Room of One's Own.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
A Room with a View is E.M. Forster.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said it wrong.
Those are very similar titles. You're not the first person to mix that up.
It's like I just read it this week.
Shh.
No,
fine.
Amy,
it's fine.
Amy, you're on the right track. I was wrong. And then we were talking about two different books. Yes. So I was talking about Virginia Woolf. Okay. It was a stream of consciousness. I was like reading the book.
Life's short. Sorry, Virginia. I've heard better things about A Room of One's Own than I've heard about, say, like Mrs. Dalloway. So, and I still am scared to read even A Room of One's Own. So,
well, my copy was only 99 pages. So, you know, It's not that long.
Yeah.
But
she just scares me. She's one of those people, I hear her name, James Joyce, William Faulkner. I'm like, even though I've read like 4 William Faulkner books, but most of them have been difficult and they scare me. It's the streams of consciousness writing. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Well, I had heard of like stream of consciousness writing before, and then I had never, to my knowledge, read a book like it. And I was reading this and I was like, this must be it. This is terrible.
This must be it.
This is how my brain works on a regular basis. People don't want to read how my brain works. Like,
that's why it's called streams of consciousness, because you are literally following just their thoughts, not organized, not coherent in a story form, just what people are thinking.
But this is a talk she gave. That's the part worse. I don't get.
It's even worse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For everyone that was listening to her.
My goodness. Yeah. I don't know. I still haven't read any James Joyce for that very reason, the stream of consciousness thing. Because it's nonfiction. That tells you then that you don't want to read Mrs. Dalloway or To the Lighthouse or her other books, Chantel.
Well, see, and I just got To the Lighthouse because one of my patrons was recommending it.
So I've heard that's easier than Mrs. Dalloway.
I don't own that one, so maybe I'll just never pick that one up.
Yeah. I had a friend that started reading Mrs. Dalloway, and they're way more open-minded about certain things in books, including like different perspectives, even if it's like really preachy from an atheistic point of view. And they were just like, it seems like this whole book is about miserable people being atheists. I haven't read it, so I don't know if that's accurate at all, but they were just like, this is awful.
Yeah, okay. Make sure not to buy that book.
Yeah, don't buy Mrs. Dalloway. If you were really curious, get it from the library. Don't pay money.
Yeah. I
love all this book recommending that happened, like the second half of this. Well, the very first part, and then like the second, like.
That's what happens when you get bookish people together.
I love it. I love you guys. You guys are the best.
Yeah. I think BookTube is an amazing community.
I agree. I'm thankful for it. I'm glad because in case any of you are subscribed to Chantel and not me, Chantel's the one who talked me into starting my channel. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Chantel. Yeah, I love it.
I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
You went from a commenter whose face I couldn't imagine to a person that is so much smarter than me, which is what you were before, but now I know it.
I'm not smarter than you. I'm not.
So, Dia, have you read both of them?
I bet she has.
Yeah, I know. I think so too.
I think that's why she would own them, is because she usually doesn't buy books unless she's already read them and enjoys them.
But if she owns them,
To the Lighthouse, then that might mean that is a good one for you to read. Maybe not. Miserable People. Yeah.
When you were talking about miserable people, I was thinking Middlemarch. Because that whole book is just people that are married to the wrong person.
Yeah. I made up my own title for that book. Have you heard it? I read it this year, and it's Why Premarital Counseling is Important. You talk about what you want out of marriage.
I was reading, which book was I reading? I sent someone a screenshot of, or a clip of a book that I was reading the other day, and because it had a comment about Middlemarch, and I'm totally blanking on what book it was that I was reading. This is Shatona Havig's book, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. I think Middlemarch was named that because everyone wants to march away from it by the middle.
Oh, that's funny. I actually did like Middlemarch, but it's a lot of miserable people who are married to the wrong people, for real. And then right after that, I finished Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy and The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. And I'm like, why is every book I'm finishing lately about people who should not have gotten married? All I'm reading about is miserable marriages. I need a break.
I like that I have all this pressuring you guys into starting channels, and then Dia.
I talked Dia into her channel, so by proxy, you have also done Dia's.
Yes.
It's true, though. It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Fred.
I don't even remember specific characters anymore. I just remember like.
It's a lot of misery.
Yeah.
I don't have any interest in picking that up, honestly. I've heard good things about the writing style, but I know that it's very largely about, I think, infidelity, right? And I just don't really want to read that. Anna Karenina was a little different, even though that is a prime factor in that book, because at least it's not glorifying it. I don't know if Madame Bovary is. I love Silas Marner. That's the only other book I've read by her. And my dad read that to me when I was a kid. And it started my love for Victorian literature.
I think I have Mill on the Floss on my shelf.
I have it too. I haven't read it yet. This is a story of my life. I own it, but I haven't read it.
That's why I try to keep my unread books down here, because I don't want people coming over to my house and being like, oh, have you read this book? Have you read this book? So I keep the books that I've read upstairs.
And this is the wall of shame.
This is the place people don't see, except everybody on the internet.
That's different.
Still difficult and immoral, but I took.
Okay.
Now I'm curious.
I own that also, and I've not yet read it. I've heard great things about that one and Agnes Grey, and I haven't read either of them.
Tenant of Wildfell Hall, I don't mind. Agnes Grey, I don't mind.
That's high praise for Chantal for Victorian literature. I don't mind.
I don't like some Victorian literature, but if you don't like it, yeah, okay. No, Madame Bovary.
That's for sure. It's for sure. We're the rowdy. We are worse than Tolkien. We're meowing at the door, and she's like, "We're trying to talk about a book, okay?" But have you read this?
No, this is great. This is like, when you feel like you've made it as a parent when your kids are smarter than you, right? So we're so great.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a try at some point, but that's not one that I have on my really want to get to this. I don't own that one.
I always say I want to live by Lindsay because she gets rid of every book she reads. I'm like,
can't do that.
Just come. Can I live beside you? Just put them all in my house.
Oh, no kidding. Lindsay, I think, doesn't live that far from me, if I'm remembering correctly. I think she doesn't live super. I mean, she shouldn't live that close, but like
might be
a few hours. A few hours, I think. When are you getting rid of your books? I'll meet you somewhere.
Oh, she got a lot of them this spring.
Okay.
This big stack. That's one I've never found. You said that one's your favorite?
It's the only other one of hers that I've read. I have a lot of nostalgia towards it because my dad read it aloud to me when I was little. It's probably her shortest work. It's like a couple hundred pages. It's not like Middlemarch or Mill on the Floss that are like 600-700 pages.
That's why a Mill on the Floss is on my, or Middlemarch is on my shelf upstairs. It's like, I read it. I didn't enjoy it, but I read it and it's staying up there. Yeah, well,
not for everything. Just Victorian works. What Victorian works do you love? Are there any that you're like, I love this book?
North and South.
Okay.
I know there's more.
I didn't love North and South.
Wuthering Heights, is that in that?
Yes.
Number? Yep. Well, Sherlock, does that count?
Yes, it does.
Oliver Twist?
Yep.
See?
You like Oliver Twist?
I do.
You like a Dickens?
Yes.
Cool. A lot of people don't just because he's really wordy, and I get it. I just like his words, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I liked Oliver Twist and then A Christmas Carol. But I think that's just nostalgia because, like, watching the movie at Christmas time kind of thing.
For sure.
Yeah, we just all need to live by Lindsay and fight over her books.
That would be so cool. I wish there was a way we could exchange books, like, for free, but unfortunately you have to pay for shipping. And that's really expensive to send to Chantal since she's international. But even within the United States, media mail's still at least a few dollars. It'd be cool if you could just do it for free.
It's like at minimum $30 to send a book within Canada.
Wow.
Like your guys' media mail is amazing.
Yeah, it is. I'm thankful for it. I'm just waiting for them to get rid of it. A mounted kill. I love it. You need to feature it prominently, like it facing out, the cover facing out.
Well, if you do it sideways, you can see how big it is. Oops.
I love that. That is so accurate, though.
I think
That's how
like
I feel about certain books.
out of all the books on my shelf that I have because of that purpose, I think that's like the worst one. Like someone even worse than Moby Dick. I enjoyed parts of Moby Dick. I didn't enjoy anything of Middlemarch.
Wow.
Yeah. I like that. All right. Well, we've gotten a little off topic. I mean, books were the topic, right? So,
Yeah, we're here to talk about books.
any last minute thoughts on either? Oh, I'm out of focus again. The Faithful Spy or any other books?
I think I'm good. This has been a great chat. Glad we read this. The Greatest Gift. I feel like I've read that at some point, but I don't know what it's about.
Yeah, I know.
It sounds familiar. Needs to go under a glass dome. DS. Like Beauty and the Beast with the enchanted rose.
Yes.
And every day you rip a page out. I'm just kidding. I think I usually get rid of books that I hate. But I mean, there's some like War and Peace. I don't know if I'll read that. Maybe someday. But I didn't have the greatest experience with that. But I'm like, yeah, I read this and it's staying on my shelf. I'm proud that I read this 1,400 page book. Took me 3 months.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think you
I don't think so. This has been fun. Thank you for letting me be part of your book club.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for picking something fairly light compared to what it could have been, even though we still ended up on a classics discussion here.
How funny is it that we like Holly chose Moby Dick and I chose this?
Yeah.
Like, what universe are we living in here?
Yeah, right. Oh, thanks everyone for coming.
Yes, thank you.
And Tiffany for hanging out here.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Okay, you guys all have a great night. And maybe I will see you guys next month. Amy and I are reading Pat to Silverbush.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I missed that announcement.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm behind on everything. So
that's okay. I
haven't read that one yet.
Well, you can join us.
Yeah.
Classic, but not hard classic.
Yes.
Okay. Bye, everybody.